say I want to strike a balance between both of those, I'll go for gold. Because gold goes up a little, comes down a little. That's safe. But imagine I have hell of a lot of money, which I don't. Then I would go to the market and say, let's go for, let's say, real estate. Right, because when you buy a real estate, it's a process. You need to keep it, then you need to sell it to a person who's interested. So that takes quite a bit of time. But again, big money. But you're willing to keep it longer. Or finally, I would say, I mean, hell to do with everything. Let's take my money, start up my own company, equity. I meant start up my own company. That's very risky because chances are when you open a company, it loses.
Yes.
But it will give you dividends over the long run. So that's different kinds of stuff that you can do with your money to have a diversified portfolio.
All right, that was very insightful. But now we cannot take the stock market out of finances, out of investment at all. It's like it's all merged in. So is that the only way that a person can invest in? Are there any other ways? Like you mentioned right now, there are many examples. But is there anything else that the young people out there should focus on when it comes to investing? Should they always only solely think about the stock market?
Okay. If you take the stock market in Sri Lanka, only 1% of the population is involved in the stock market. Only 1%.
All right.
Even out of that 1%, 50% of that 1% do just day trading. It's basically like going there, taking a chance, more like gambling. Proper stock market investors are only 50% of that 1%, which is a very insignificant amount. Now that brings your thought, then what are all the other Sri Lankans doing?
Exactly.
Most of the Sri Lankans engage in gold investments. They have fixed deposits because we hate risk. That's why insurance is so popular in our country, because we want to do everything and anything to safeguard ourselves. I mean, you might have a car which is just bought. None of us are going to lose cars, but still you go for full insurance because you want to safeguard your car. So the point being, the best thing for a youngster to do, someone who has less money, is to go to maybe a foreign exchange.
Right.
Buy some currencies, because that's a low risk profile, and you can do it even with 130 rupees. You can still buy a dollar and engage in that trade. Buy a couple of US dollars. Monitor the trends. When the price goes up, you sell, because you buy it low, sell it high. Or another point could be where, let's say, you go into a particular market, and as I said, you don't need to find a gold which is 12 pounds. You can buy a 1 pounder which is I mean in your 40s and 50s thousands.
Yes.
You can buy that and sell. Those are easy ways of coming up with some sort of, let's say, investments. Would make a little bit of sense.
Yes, but like you said, why do you think that the Sri Lankans are very careful when it comes to risks?
Okay. Why are we careful when it comes to risks?
What is the general perception? What do you think?
It's in our culture. Not only Sri Lankans, it's Asians for that matter. Because if you take Europeans and Asians, Europeans are very individualistic. It's I, me, myself.
Yes.
The Americans, for example.
Yes.
You take Asians, Chinese, Indians, Sri Lankans. We are, more about family, collectivistic stuff like that. So we have gotten used to a culture of family, protecting people, taking care of people. Yes, we always think about what happens, who's relying on me, who's my dependent. What if I get married in 2 years? I would have a dependent. Do I mess that person's life? All these thoughts coming into the picture. And also, I mean, being very honest, Sri Lanka, how many people are super rich? A very minor population. So the point is, all of us are living on our day-to-day expenses. That automatically makes you save money. Versus someone in an European developed country. I'm also talking about specifically Western Europe, not Eastern Europe. If you take Western Europe, people have a lot of money. People are rich in terms of their purchasing power. So they can afford to not save quite a lot. But we save a lot. We send money out less because we're very, it's in our culture. We're very risk averse.
All right, so on that note, we are going for a very short commercial break, and we'll be back with more questions on investments and further questions from Mr. Shafraz Salim, so don't go away. Welcome back to Good Morning Sri Lanka. We are still with Mr. Shafraz Salim, so moving right on to the questions. The next important question that I saw in my rundown is a very, very interesting question. Lots of people are wondering, how do you get involved with a broker? And how do you pick one? And why does an individual want to get a broker involved in their investments?
Okay, so the point is, the misconception at times, you think broker is my savior.
Okay.
So I get a broker, I'm sorted. I'm not going to lose a single rupee because he's going to safeguard. Hell no. Because the rule of the game, because where does a broker really get involved? In real estate, stock market. What we are really used to is the stock market. So if you take the stock market, broker does not save you. Definitely not. Just like a doctor doesn't save any of us. He just tries his best to, ensure that we live another day. So the point being, broker is someone you should pick only when you are really busy. I know you need a broker to buy and sell and trade and stuff like that, but if you want a proper broker, rather consultant, I would rather say, someone who can advise you, you would only take that person if you are super busy, because the reason is stock market is volatile. Within hours, trends can change. within minutes trends can change.
Okay.
So by the time you go to work at 9 o'clock, come back at 6 o'clock, you know, have a chilled out time at home, and then you go on internet and check your share price, you would have crashed.
Yes.
So the point being, if you take Warren Buffett, unlike the other rich people in the world, he doesn't have a computer company. Nor does he have a mobile company.
I
The
know.
third richest person in the world, $52 billion net worth, all because of shares. How did he do that? You take a Coke, you take any company, he has shares. How did he do that? Because he personally got involved. So the golden rule, you get involved. So don't listen to brokers just because they call you up and say this is a share you should buy. You need to know your sense.
All right.
But if you are super busy, you still want to make some money,
How do you pick one?
you pick a broker who has knowledge of the stock market, not someone who is just facilitating trade. If you want advice, it should be someone who has years of experience in the trade.
Interesting.
And also every broker has a clientele.
Okay.
You need to ensure that the clientele is strong, because
Okay.
why do clients surround around a particular person? Because they are good, the service
Yes,
is good.
yes,
That's
yeah.
one way you can pick. And the final one, just talk to the person. You talk to the person, you will
And
know
you
whether the person
understand.
makes sense or not. If he
Right.
doesn't make sense, no. So my advice, have a broker just to do your trading, but you need to get involved personally. But if you don't want to do that, then pick a smart cookie from there, because that's what makes the best sense.
And when it comes to small investments, what you suggest is you actually do not need to have a broker. You need to get involved individually.
Exactly, because if it's foreign currencies or gold, I mean, I would rather go and buy rather than having a broker and giving him a
Exactly.
commission, because you don't earn much from foreign currencies unless you
Exactly.
pump in a lot of money. So you
Yes.
don't have bucks to separate for a broker either. So it's about you personally getting involved directly.
All right. So this actually struck my mind when I was asking about brokers. How can you differentiate a good investment and a bad investment?
Good investment gives you money, bad investment doesn't give you money. But the point being, a good investment is an investment that gives you money consistently, sustainable over a period of time.
Exactly.
A bad investment is something that gives you money today, tomorrow it takes that
You're not
money
sure.
away.
Okay.
So people who go for quick buck, that's a bad investment. It should be something sustainable, and also mind you, it should suit your appetite. As I said initially, for me what is good might not be good for you. So good investment is something that gives me what I want, just like a good employee.
All right. How do you become involved personally and get your edge as an investor? Any tips that you can give out the young people out there who's watching?
Okay. So the point being, you need to look at the past trends. So
Okay.
that's number one. Statistical know-how is needed.
All right.
Because if you're looking at a company, let's say for example, let's say gold. I need to have the know-how to understand that gold went once upon a time to $1,900.
Okay.
And over the last 5 to 6 months, it has been at a low of $1,300, $1,200. That sense of mind is needed.
Yes.
Because then a person sells me something at 1,300. I should have an idea to say, okay, fine, if it's gone up to 1,900, maybe it will go up to 1,500. So I'll
Exactly.
hold the stock.
Yeah.
So first, statistical know-how. Number two is the fact that if you want to get into stock market, you need to know what are the companies that are with good brand names.
All right.
Because the point being, if you know companies with good or strong brand names, their stock market or performance is generally good, because there's a
Naturally,
bit of goodwill around it.
Yeah, yeah.
Number three, you need to also know what is the management involved.
Okay.
If these are managers who are experienced, you automatically know people who are experienced, people who are good at it, they'll run a company really well. Let's get to football. You have a Jose Mourinho, you have an Arsene Wenger. You follow their football team, you know they're going to do it for you.
Yes.
So you need to have good managers in a company. For that, you need to do a background research. I mean, people might wonder, how do I know where the management team is? Look at the prospectus. That's going to
Yeah.
give you an idea of who the management team is.
Yeah.
And finally, look at their profit making. Because when do you get money? When the company makes profit.
Exactly.
So just have an understanding of whether the company is looking at making profit over the next few years, or is the agenda to just increase market share and not increase profit.
All right.
If you have an understanding about all of that, then probably you can have an edge, but still there is no guarantee, because human beings can make errors.
And they change.
Yes, exactly.
And finances alter all the
Exactly,
time.
exactly.
So speaking about that, the next question that I want to ask you is that when it comes to the young people out there, like you said before, Sri Lankans are very not very good at taking risks. But when it comes to the young people nowadays, maybe things are currently changing, hopefully. So for people out there who really are up for investing big time, and they're saying that I want to be a professional in this, how do you keep in touch with the knowledge of investment, and how does theoretical knowledge is it required? Do we need to, like you said before, do we need to read about it all the time? Do we need to keep in touch with particular people? How do people get professional if they are really passionate about investments?
See, when one of my students walks up to me and asks me, look, I study this entire content. How many % of this am I going to use in the corporate world? I say 5%. Because 95% of what you read in the book, you never apply in your corporate world. Same thing.
Okay.
If you're going to read about cycling, or if you're going to read about, let's say, playing football, you're not going to do it actually. So the point being, whether you read up on stock market may be good. That might be a superb thing to do. But can you really make that work for you in the market, or whether it's a gold market, foreign currency market? Never. You need to read up on the practical stuff. So today, if you take in Sri Lanka, we spend a lot of time on Facebook.
Yes.
We spend a lot of time on the internet watching videos on YouTube.
Yes.
Substitute that time for maybe a little bit of BBC, business.
Exactly.
Or you could substitute that time for a little bit of CNN money. Or maybe even, for example, a local business related, channel or whatever, a newspaper
magazine,
or whatever.
yeah.
So the point being, if you have an understanding, or if you're well read, you would know what's happening around the world, or at least first get to know what's happening around in your country, because you're going to get involved in your country.
Yes.
Then you go in and start investing around that particular thing with that knowledge. That's going to help you.
Okay.
And then also talk to people who've done this before.
Yes.
Because none of us are experts, none of us are perfect. So you
Yes.
need to talk and have a practical read up, practical understanding. And finally, the best thing to do, if you really want to experience something, you need to go and do it. So take a little bit of money, take a few bucks, go into the market, experiment. If it works for you, it works for you, amazing. Take that money, come back with a smile. If it doesn't work for you, just tell yourself, I've done a qualification on how to invest. Come back home with a smile.
All right.
That's how it works.
So basically what you say is the first step to go is that you need to be practical about it.
Yes.
All right. So the next question that I wanted to ask you is that how do you, you mentioned investing in foreign currencies. How do you invest in foreign currencies, and how do people get to know what is involved in that procedure of investing in foreign currencies?
Very simple. Now see, if you take foreign currencies, if you take let's say a dollar, let's say it's at 100 rupees, let's say, for example, I'm just taking a random number. If you take 100 rupees, you buy it at 100 rupees, you wait till that amount goes up to 103 rupees.
Okay.
When it goes up to 103 rupees, you sell it and make money. So it's very simple. You don't need licensing, you don't need nothing. It's just anyone. You can walk into a bank, or you can walk into an independent forex dealer,
Yeah.
give him some Sri Lankan rupees. Let's say you give him 1,000 Sri Lankan rupees. I mean, long time back you would have done this and got $10. Not anymore. But imagine, just to make our calculation easy,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
give him 1,000 rupees, get $10. Come back home, wait, pray to God that it goes up. If it goes down to, let's say, 90 rupees, then you lose 10 rupees on a dollar, total of 100 rupees. But if it goes up to 120 rupees, you earn money. So the question being, when do you know it will go up?
Yeah, exactly.
If US economy is doing really well tomorrow,
Okay.
yes, their dollar will go up. So 130 will become 135. Why? Earlier you said 130 Sri Lankans were equal to 1 American.
Yes.
130 rupees was equal to $1.
Yes.
Now you say 140 Sri Lankans are equal to 1 American. 140 rupees to $1. Why? Because dollar has become stronger. So
Okay.
per dollar now you get 10 rupees more. Second thing would be, let's say there's war around the world. US dollar will drop. Let's say sometimes US country economy is going through a recession, come back, again dollar will go up.
All right.
So these are some of the symptoms that you can use, for which I said you need to read up. For example, if you buy a lot of cars from Japan, then yen would go up.
Yes.
So those are ways in which you can have a practical knowledge. Start investing in the foreign currency market.
Okay, interesting. When you once you get involved in investing in any sort of manner, how do you keep getting information about your resources? What kind of expectation would you want to have from the place or the particular organization that you invested in?
Okay, so if you go for gold or if you go for real estate,